I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
We'll flip the script.
Perfect.
What do you think helped you the most?
I did several things that I think helped. Reading that book that I gifted you was one.
Okay.
Huge help. Which I would have never thought it was, but it was really good. I did a lot of journaling.
Okay.
I did a lot of self-reflection. I wrote notes to him.
Oh, I like that.
So I wrote a lot of letters, or I kind of found an app. It was like book form or whatever. Because I had a lot to say.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And especially because he died at holidays. And I have no idea how the fuck I got through Christmas. Like, he died the 6th. We buried them on the 15th. And then we had Christmas. And, like, my Christmas shopping wasn't finished. And the whole first year was a blur. So I really don't know how the fuck we pulled off Christmas that first year.
Yeah.
So writing letters, a lot of journaling, self-reflection. I seen a medium, which I thought I was batshit crazy at first.
But it went well.
It did.
Okay.
It did. There was 2 instances that I just woke up. I was like, I need to find somebody to talk to dead people.
Yeah.
You know? And so the first time we were in Florida, and I was like, look, if I'm supposed to see somebody or talk to somebody, I need you to make these motherfuckers like stand out.
Yeah.
So I looked and I'm like, this ain't happening. Like, nobody's standing out, whatever. Went on about our day. And then I think a few weeks after that, I woke up. I was like, look, I'm supposed to find somebody. So I started searching, and we were back home then. And I'm like, you better make them stick out.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'm not doing this shit. I'm not even interested.
No, I mean.
And so I found somebody, and I'm like, dead giveaway.
Yeah.
His first name was Dylan.
Okay.
Which obviously our son's name. His last name was Bell. And so Dr. Bell was our main character at the haunted house. I'm like, well, fuck.
I actually think my husband and I have a selfie with Dr. Bell.
You probably do. I'm like, well, if this ain't a fucking dead giveaway, then this is the one, right? And I'm like, skeptical, probably a fucking monk. So I looked him up on Facebook and I started following him. I'm like, because, I didn't like friend him on Facebook, because then I felt some type of way about that. And, you
don't want him to know who you are, but you
right.
want to,
I don't want you to look me up on Facebook before I make an appointment. Like, you just think about all that weird stuff. And so finally, I think I told Dylan, I was like, look, I think I'm supposed to see somebody. And this is who I found. I told him his name. He's like, you should probably make the appointment. I was like,
touche.
I kind of don't want to, though. So finally I did. And I did a virtual appointment with him. And it went really well. And he did tell me things that nobody else would have known. So I don't feel like he looked me up on like Facebook or anything like that. And now he and I are good friends.
Okay.
So we talk often and hang out sometimes. And he's agreed to be on the podcast too. So I think that'd be helpful.
That'll be so cool. I'm like so intrigued, and I know, I've heard about it. I've done it, but I don't know. I'm a skeptic, but I feel like, what do you have to lose?
And I think it depends on who it is too.
Yeah.
Because I was a huge skeptic. I'm like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't really want to know. There's all these feelings.
Yeah.
Especially when you're early on.
You don't want to know, but I want to know. It's like a car crash. You don't want to see it, but you can't look away.
Right. And so, actually, I did a couple group sessions for friends to sign up. Just because everybody is skeptic.
Yeah.
And some people don't just want to jump in and be like, oh, let me do this one-on-one. So we did like a group session and just random people showed up for people.
Okay.
And I think it was cool for me because some people I knew there and some people I didn't. Like, I hosted it for them to do it. But then they would bring people that I didn't know. So things would come up. I'm like, there's no way possible that I knew that. Like, I didn't tell him that. I didn't want anybody to feel that kind of way, but it turned out really good. He's very good at what he does. And so that helped tremendously. I think just the combo of those.
Yeah.
And like I said, self-care was huge. Like,
yeah, I feel like that is so important because, you know, just like we had talked about earlier, so many people just lose themselves. And I never want to lose myself. I know I lose myself emotionally sometimes, which is so normal in the things that we have gone through. But
it's okay. It's okay to be down. It's okay to absolutely to be knocked down. But you have to get the fuck back up.
You have to.
You can't stay there.
You cannot. And no. It is such a slippery slope, and it's so easy to just stay down.
Absolutely.
But getting back up is such an achievement, and that is something that anybody should be proud of. Whether they're grieving, you know, the loss of a loved one, which is what, you know, I've lost friendships, I've lost relationships, I've lost a lot, but nothing has ever outweighed the loss of actually losing somebody. Mm-hmm. But you know, no matter what type of grieving you're doing, because there's you can grieve a person, a thing, a job, whatever the case may be, you have to move forward. You have to get up, and you cannot just let it define you. You can't.
Yeah. I've watched so many people do that, and it's, I don't know. I think in my situation, depending on who the person was, Kendrick's dad, for instance, it would just piss me off because everywhere we would go before we no longer spoke, he would tell everybody, well, my son died.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to Michaela's, she graduated in May. Kendra died in December. She graduated college in May. So it would have been April, May-ish, where she had her nurse pinning. And she invited him. And literally, I go to sit down, and he's telling the people next to him that his son died. And I'm like, you got to fucking be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the time or the place. You don't even fucking know these people. Mm-hmm. Like, so it 100% defines him. Like, that is who he is. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It's hard. You know, and we're all living it. And you never want to be like, your feelings don't matter. But think about my feelings too. And if I don't want to talk about it, then respect that. Because I don't want everybody to know. You know, there are people, you know, my grandma's 84 and it was her only daughter. And I get it. That's a whole nother kind of loss. You know, very similar to just grieving differently.
Well, and I tried to make room for that. I tried to take that into consideration.
But it's freaking hard. Because you don't want to talk about it every time you talk to them or see them or anything. And it just... No, she's 84. She doesn't have a lot else going on.
It doesn't help your healing.
Yeah.
And I think I just got really big on
if it doesn't fill my cup, I don't want it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's big for me now. I'm like, if I don't want to do it, if I don't want to hear it, if I just simply don't want to be involved, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to satisfy anybody else.
Yeah.
I don't need to do it for somebody else. And if it doesn't make me happy, I'm just not fucking doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something Jay and I had a conversation about not long ago. You know, somebody had reached out wanting to get together and it just wasn't something I really wanted to do, but I was feeling obligated to do it. And so he just sat me down and was like, okay, so if you go and you see this person, are you doing it for you? Are you doing it to make them feel good? What are you going to get out of it? And I was like, nothing. Like I just feel obligated to go. And he was like, then don't do it. There's no reward for you. You are going because you feel like you have to. And you feel like that's expected of you. And it was somebody my mom had a relationship with. I never have had a relationship with. You know, we'll call them family. To me, I don't know them, so they're not family to me.
So you're not obligated.
But you know, I'm like, man, my mom would do it, and then I'm like, you're right. It does not fill my cup at all. If anything, I'm not going to leave there feeling good. I'm going to leave there feeling bad because
now they want to discuss what happened.
Not only that, but it's like, what is it like? What are you really gaining from me being there? I'm 30 years old, and I've seen you twice in my entire life, like. You know, there's nothing that I'm going to benefit from it. And so I'm not going to do it. And there are so many people that were in my mom's life that I love dearly and I want to see and I want to get together, even though we didn't really do that before. But I've always loved them and wanted to be around them. But then there are just other people that my mom loved everybody, knew everybody, and did so much for everybody. And I don't want to fill those shoes. And I'm sorry to anybody that feels like I should.
You don't have to. That's not your position to do so.
When I tell you this woman took the time out of her life to check on everybody that she even thought about for 4 seconds that day. I mean, she truly did it. She did it. She went above and beyond. And that's one thing so many people loved about her. That's just not me. I have friends that I love and I care about. I haven't talked to him in 3 months. And I would still to this day call my best friend. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're going through.
Yep.
So I don't have the capacity in my life to do it to people that were in my mom's life, you know?
No, there's been several instances where somebody's like, oh, so-and-so's coming in town and they want to see you. I'm like, did they call me? Did they reach out and be like, hey, I'm coming to town. I'd like to see you. They didn't.
No.
They said that to you. And I'm not taking the time out of my life to go sit with people who don't bother to reach out to me. It's almost a front for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, and then I always
like you, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not obligated.
No.
Just because you knew my husband. I am not.
Because you feel bad for me? That's the big thing.
I'm not the friendly fucking person. Let's be real. That's not me.
No.
And especially now more than ever, life is too fucking short for me to do anything that I don't want to fucking do.
Yeah.
And like you said, if it doesn't feel good to me, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not. Don't feel bad for me. Don't act like you give a fuck, because from a distance you don't.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. And and that is one thing is I don't want people to feel bad for me. Do I want to go through what I'm going through? Hell no.
If you wanted people to feel bad for you, you would have fucking grieved or chose a different path in the way that you lived your life since the shit happened.
But it's like, I don't want you to feel bad for me.
I think you and I are a lot alike. We've busted our ass to make sure that this did not define us. So I don't need your ass to feel bad for me. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I got through it. I'm doing my shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep fucking moving.
Absolutely. And, it's not, you're not going to feel what you feel today again. I mean, you might feel it again, but you're not going to feel it every single day, because I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to get out of my funk and I'm going to keep going. And if I don't feel bad for myself, you don't need to feel bad for me.
Especially if you're not in my everyday life.
When I tell you, and that is the hardest thing is I'm just different and I love so many people and I have so many people in my life, but I'm like, I don't have the time. I don't have the time to deal with checking up on so many people. And I feel bad because I'm like, man, I know I go through it sometimes and I'm like, man, I haven't talked to anybody today. And I know other people are going through things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, should I make more of a point to reach out to people? But then I'm like, man, but then that's me changing who I am because I feel bad.
And I think that, like, I have 3 or 4 people in my life that I consider my best friends. We don't fucking talk every day.
I know.
We might talk once every few months.
Yeah.
And then we might go through spurts where we talk every day and we hang out for fucking weeks on end and then we don't see each other for months again.
I know. And I love it. Those are the relationships that
They get love. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got their own shit going on and it just works.
It does.
And those are my 4 longest friendships ever.
Yeah.
And it just works that way.
It does.
It's fucking great.
It is. It is so nice. It's like, I might send you something funny on social media and that's the only conversation we've had in 2 months, but I'm here.
But when you get back together, it's like
nothing ever changed.
Right.
And if you need me, I will drop whatever it is I'm doing and I will be there. And I know they would do the exact same thing for me as they have many times, but it's like, man, I just don't have it in me to put any type of energy out to something that doesn't fill my cup.
100%.
And I feel like that's so important and more people need to think about that. Like,
even if
what am I gaining from this? Yeah, even if you didn't go through anything.
Yeah, in general life, I think it's important.
Yeah, I mean, you need to, it is all about quality, not quantity.
You waste so much time in your life doing shit that you don't want to.
Mm-hmm. To make other people happy. Yes, you are just making other people happy. And I am here to make myself happy, my husband happy, my kids happy.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't care about how many friends I have, or I don't have any damn family left, but how much family I've got. I just want the quality relationships that benefit me and I benefit them. I never want somebody to be like reaching out because they feel like they have to. I want it to go both ways. I never want somebody to be like, oh, well, I'm going to town and I better reach out to my friend's daughter.
Right, they're going to see I was
away.
in town.
Yeah, and like, I do what you want to do.
Yep.
Because it's not about me.
If you haven't reached out to me prior to, if we don't speak,
yes,
don't worry about me. Just go do whatever you was coming to town.
So good, yes. But in the other aspect of that, I have gained relationships with people that I didn't have before. That with people that meant so much to my mom, and those are people that I see very regularly now. My mom had a dog.
And isn't that crazy how that works?
It is. But it's like my mom had a dog. Sweetest little crazy nut Jack Russell I've ever met in my life. But unfortunately with my asshole dogs, I couldn't keep her. And so I can't, she's not going back to a pound. That's where she came from, a rescue. She had a bad life. She lived her queen life with my mom. And I'm like, she's got to continue to do this. And so I'm asking so many people that I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to want her. Like, they are going to want her. I know they are. And they're like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm like, shit. And so there was a friend, I had never actually met them before, but I had heard so much about them, a family that my mom worked for. My mom was a caretaker. So one of them took her, and it just so happens they live 10 minutes away from me, and they are the most amazing family. And it's almost like I've always had them. You know what I mean? It's like, of course this sucks that this happened, but they are now built-in family. Yep. And that's nice too. Because I don't have a lot of room for a lot of people in my life, because it's just not who I am. But to build that type of relationship and have them there, and to love this dog and allow me and my family to come over and visit and do adventures and invite us to absolutely everything going on.
Oh, that's great.
It's so special.
Yeah.
And then there's others that I'm like, yep, you're my mom's friend. And I know why.
I feel like I lost probably 80% of people in my life after KJ died. Yeah. And I've gained a handful of new people, which is great because they're like the right people that fit. And anybody that rolled out, and
there's a reason you're out.
There's a reason. Fuck you.
But it does make you kind of sit back and realize, like, some of these relationships that you had when KJ was still alive, they weren't good. They weren't benefiting anybody. No,
they weren't for me by any means. Clearly.
It's like, what was in it for you? And when you realize that there was nothing in it for you, and that they were people that were just around, or they were people that were just using you for something, or using KJ for something, or whatever the case may be.
A lot of it was his friends.
Yeah.
But let's be real, he was likable, and he was the one that fucking everybody knew, and I wasn't so much likable, which I'm okay with. But I think my big struggle is the ones who were supposed to be close friends, and they're like, would be there for anything. And I'm like, you ain't not one motherfucking time called to check on his wife and kids. So who were you really?
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite. I'm there for anything. Whatever you need, I've got you. But they're the first ones to tell you, you're the strongest one I know. You'll go through anything. And then you don't talk to them for 7 months.
Is when you see it all on Facebook and they're like, oh man, I lost my best friend. And they just boo-hoo, poor me. And I'm like, it's your best friend, did you? I understand you're going through a time, right? You were good friends. But I always felt like anybody that you thought was your best friend, if my best friend died today, I'm going to call and check on her kids. Mm-hmm. If she's got a spouse, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to check on him too. But you're on Facebook crying and all this shit, but not one time have you fucking checked in. Yeah. The fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah. That's the, I want attention friend.
Yeah, fuck you.
I don't have the attention to give you.
I don't even care to. I don't even care to. That's that block, delete shit, because I just can't.
That's the and you don't fill my cup friend.
I'm not, I guess, invalidating your feelings for losing your friend, because clearly KJ's loss was huge for so many people.
Yeah.
But I just felt some type of way.
Oh, yeah.
KJ and I were together for fucking 17 years.
Yeah.
So I just never understood how those two connections were.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Is in loss, you learn so much. Man, you learn a lot about people.
Yes.
That were in your life, and you're like,
the fuck?
What are you even talking about? And that's what mind boggles me is I can remember I was a 16-year-old when my brother died, and I can't even remember what day of the week we had his funeral on, but I remember thinking, like, if you really are not my friend, you had nothing to do with him, you didn't even ever even meet him, don't come from school, don't get out of school to come to this funeral. I don't want you here. You're not getting out of school because you know somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. Like, don't do that. And it was huge. He was a very likable person. He was so quiet, but he was a very likable person. He had a very big friend group because he rode motorcycles and all the things. But, there were so many people that I'm like,
why are you here?
Don't get out of school to come here. Don't let me be an excuse to get out of school early. And looking back, I'm like, man, that's so silly. But at the same time, I'm like, no, like,
it's not though.
You were using it as an excuse. You're going to show up for 5 minutes and then leave.
And you didn't know him.
You
knew who he was.
Yeah. You knew of him. You might know me, but we're not friends. We don't have a relationship. We don't have anything. Like, don't use me for that.
Like, for me, I get that, but I'm also the person who don't go to people's funerals that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Minus your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't. I'm like, I didn't know them.
Yeah.
I wasn't in their everyday life. Like, I knew who they was. Mm-hmm. And unless it's somebody very important to me, like you guys.
I don't want to go.
I don't feel like it's right to go.
I agree, because you never know, like, does the family want it to be intimate? Does, like, what is it? I met them a couple times. They were a wonderful person, but I'm not always going to show up. Now, if it is something near and dear to my heart, somebody that I truly was a part of their life for an extended period of time, I'm going to show up and I'm going to pay my respects. But there are, unfortunately, so many people that I know that have passed away, and I'm like, I just don't feel like I should be there.
I agree with that.
And, of course, with all of
us,
but
I think that goes back to the awkward death shit.
It does. And that's what I was going to say is, like, with all of us going through loss and stuff, it's like, I don't know how to act on the other side of it. Actually, my husband and I just went to a funeral 2 weeks ago, and a very close family friend of his, I had met her a couple of times, didn't really know her. And when I left there, I looked at him and I was like, I cried more and I was so much more emotional at this funeral than I have ever been being on the other side of it. And it's like, it was so beautiful, which is, so to me, I'm always like, even with my mom's funeral, beautiful, but it's so weird to say a funeral is beautiful, but it was such a beautiful tribute to her. And I walked out of there feeling like I truly knew her my entire life. But every story they told, I was like, her and my mom are the same person.
Oh.
And that hit me so hard. Yeah. And then watching her husband and her kids, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, it brings back so many emotions that you don't know you're holding inside.
Because it's grief.
Because
and it creeps up at any time.
And so when we left there, I was like, I have never felt so emotional at a funeral in my entire life. And I'm not on this side very often. I'm usually the person standing up there that everybody's feeling bad for. But holy crap, like that was so insane. And, just it's weird how that hits, and I'm like, I've met this lady maybe 3 times. I know for sure of twice, maybe 3 times. Just so happens they are, longtime family friends of my husband's family, but they're contractors and they're working at our house. And so I'm like, in my heart, they're my family right now. They've been in my house since September.
Right.
And, I'm like, man, if I got extra food, I'm feeding you, I'm doing all the things. Like, we are here together and we're doing this together. And I was like, I can't get over how emotional I was. I'm sure I looked like a crazy person with how much I was crying, knowing like I didn't know her,
but it was that connection.
It was
that it reminded you of your mom.
And they're up there telling stories. And I'm like, holy crap, how did we never get them together and get them to meet? Because it would have been trouble. I can tell you that much. But they were just such beautiful souls. And that's the best way I can describe my mom. Is she was such a bubbly, beautiful soul. And that is so touching when you hear, because there's not a lot of people out there like that.
Right.
When you hear somebody that was so similar to that, you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't even know each other. But I guarantee you, because of the connections that have been made down here with all of us, they're up there together.
Yep.
They are. And that's hard because I'm jealous. I'm not ready to leave, but I want to be with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But one day it'll happen and they'll all be there.
Yep.
That's why, that's just what it is one day.
Are you into signs?
I am. Huge. I wasn't. So I used to make fun of my mom hardcore. Okay. Like,
I often think my kids think I'm crazy. Dylan thinks I'm crazy.
No, like
for sure.
I cannot even tell you how many times I rolled my eyes. My mom had a thing for 14.
Okay.
More specifically, 8/14. She would find any way to incorporate 14 into something. Like, I didn't really need gas, but it was the numbers all added up to 14 on the gas pump. So I went on ahead and did it. You know what I mean? Like something so silly, but she made it a sign. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And, Jay and I start dating and, I have to warn him, like, just get ready. I'm telling you, she's special and I love her, but she's special and you're in for a treat. And so we would just chuckle and roll our eyes and like, oh yeah, 8/14. She would call me, it's 8/14, it's 3/14, it's, whatever. And so then we're preparing for the birth and I'm very much pregnant, 41 weeks, 3 days. I'm being induced, thank God. And, I go in on February 11th to be induced. So our hope is that she's going to be born on February 12th because 12 plus 2 is 14. And, just all these different things. I'm like, how much do you think she's going to weigh? And of course, now I've got my husband in on it. 8/14 because I was big. I was a big girl. And we're like, she's going to be an 8-pound baby. I know she is. Oh, don't you worry. She was 9 pounds, 5 ounces. But guess what? 9 plus 5 is 14.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, literally, we're sitting in the hospital after we gave birth. We gave birth. Okay, here I am. Yeah. I'm the wife saying we gave birth. And I'm like, I think we've lost it. Like, we are literally finding every way to put 14 in this equation.
And I think it keeps you fucking sane, though.
It does. It does. And she's there, she's there. And so my biggest thing was, it's so funny. I took a picture of it because I was going to send it to you, but I was driving, so I was trying to be safe. But on my way here, I'm huge. I feel like my biggest coping mechanism is music. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm going to turn on a sad song and cry because that's the only way I'm going to cry. But that's just how I deal with things. I feel like so many songs just talk to me. And there's a song by Carly Pierce. It's called See You Around. Mm-hmm. And I found it actually on TikTok. So just kind of happenstance found it, right? No big deal. Never heard it on the radio, never heard it anywhere else, but on TikTok, she made like a why I made this song kind of thing. And I'll be damned if I'm not on my way here and I just have my Apple Music on some random country station and that song comes on. And I was like, no freaking way. Right after that song is Doing Fine by, I think it's Lauren Elena, maybe. And I'm like, okay, so like, yes, I am sad and I'm grieving and I'm dealing with things, but I am doing fine.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing, is at the end of every single day, I know I'm going to be all right and I'm fine.
That's funny because on our way here, because I am big in signs, and there would be like red birds are one. And it's not only...
Well, you know I have this
it's specific tattoo. Ones, though. I love that. So when KJ was alive, we always had red birds at the house.
Yeah.
But we had this one crazy one. It was a female, and she would knock on my window. She would literally hit my window all day, every day. And it became a joke. We always said it was my grandma. And whether I was in the house, I could be out in the craft room. And there were several times I'd be in the craft room and he'd call me. He'd be like, come get your damn bird. She won't stop hitting the fucking window. And as soon as she seen me, she'd roll out. It was like, hey, so I'm here. Just need you to see me. And I'll be gone.
Yeah.
But it happened so often.
Yeah.
So when KJ died, I slept in his chair in the living room for fucking months.
Oh, I'm sure.
But like literally days after, there was one big fat ass male red bird. Like, you know when it's him because he's just distinctive.
Yeah.
And he would be on my front porch, up on like the little lip of the porch, and looking right in that window where my chair was.
Oh my gosh.
Like for months. For fucking months. I would wake up, I would see him there, he'd know I see him, and he'd roll out.
Isn't it so
and
weird?
Even now, like, when I got the big old fat red bird, I know which one it is. I still got the crazy lady sometimes. But I was like, that makes sense, because we used to talk shit about this bird all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. Or like flashing lights in the house.
Oh.
Flickering lights. We had one in the kitchen one day, and Dylan's like, how did you stop this? I said, you got to talk to him.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I said, you got to talk to him. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, babe, we know you're here.
Yeah.
And it quit flickering.
Yeah, I'm done with you.
He about lost his shit.
I'm so done with you.
He's like, Mom.
Hey, you know what? I will do whatever works.
So this morning, you know, my license plate says Love KJ. And this morning we get down to the corner, getting ready to turn to come here. And this guy pulls up in his truck and he signals for me to roll down my window. Well, normally I fucking wouldn't, but Dylan was with me and it's daylight.
Yeah, right.
Like, okay, so I rolled down the window and he's laughing. He said, I took a picture of your license plate. He said, I got a friend named KJ. He said, we're always joking. Everybody loves KJ. And he's like belly laughing. He just got a chuckle out of it. Me and Dylan start laughing. We was like, have a great day. I was like, first podcast interview today.
Yep.
There it is.
See, I wouldn't have been able to help myself. I was
there
like,
is.
Well, my KJ's dead.
I was going to. We were in the middle of Raymond Street.
You know, oh yeah. Change. Yeah. I mean, everybody does like KJ, but my KJ passed away.
I was like, but everybody did. So I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Send that to your friend. Thanks for the chuckle. Because that was my sign today, and
I love it.
There you go.
I know. I talked to her. You know, I have her urn on the mantle. On the other side is one of our other dogs. So one of my dark humor things is, you know, our dogs are bad. They're bad. They're old. They're bad. I love them, but damn, you know, they make me go through it. And so I'm like, look. If you want to be up there with Grandma Becky, you're on your way. You're on your way to the mantle. And that's just what it is. You're going to be up there with Grandma Becky and Bowser.
Yep.
Because I ain't dealing with your shit no more. But I want to say it was like the second day after my mom passed away. You know, we have one dog that sleeps in our bed, unfortunately. And the other dog is just way too bad. He sleeps in his cage. So, I'm up, you know, it's late, Jay's asleep, and this damn beagle gets out of our bed, walks down his little, custom made stairs that we got for him, and goes to our doorway and howling, just crazy, barking, howling, going crazy. And I'm just froze.
Like,
obviously, my husband wakes up and he's like, what's going on? I was like, I have no idea. He just got up. He's howling. He's crazy. And he was like, okay. So he goes and checks. Obviously, nobody's in our house. Nothing's going on. And all I said was, my mom's name was Becky. And I said, look, Becky, I appreciate that you're here. But if you don't mind, business hours work best for me.
I forget that.
2:00 in the morning is not really my jam. So business hours are truly just the best. And it never happened again, thank God. But I'm just like, I love the signs. I love that you're here.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yes. But I'm like, I could totally do without the 2 a.m. calls.
Yeah.
Which is very much her, because I would have the conversations with her, especially when I was pregnant. She would go to bed at 6 p.m. And then she's up at 2. And she's up for the day. So she has no care in the world. And she's sending me messages on Facebook, and she's texted me, and my phone is ding, ding,
oh,
ding,
you're
ding.
trying to sleep.
And I'm like freaked out, because I'm like, who is this? It's the middle of the night. And it's like, my mom's sending me boots for my dog. And so I'm like, Mom, like, I so love your help, but like 7 a.m. it's still early, but hit me up at 7 a.m. Okay. Like, it doesn't need to be the middle of the night. I understand that you're up, but please don't text me. Please don't do it.
So there was one night I was asleep, and I don't really have dreams. I've never really been a dreamer, and there's been very, very few dreams since KJ died with him, like, in it.
Yeah.
Which kind of pisses me off, but
yeah. Oh, I know.
But it just doesn't happen. But there was one night I was asleep, and I felt like almost like somebody stood at the end of your bed and fucking pulled your feet and like was like pulling you.
Oh my God.
And I woke up and I was like, look, motherfucker, we're going to have a conversation. I was like, this ain't it. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. But I'm just leave me the fuck alone while I'm asleep.
If you're going to make me remember a dream, it ain't that.
Yeah, this ain't it. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Nope, never happened after that.
I know.
People probably look at me and think I'm fucking crazy, but this is the reality.
I tell you what, it is funny. Like, I've always believed in signs. I've always believed in the cardinals. Pennies were always a big thing. If you find a penny heads up or whatever, it's supposed to be a thing. But it was really like, my mom everything was assigned to her, and that's fine. I love that she found joy in that, and I love that for her. But I was just like, oh my God, are you joking? Like, stop. Okay, let's just stop.
Do you think about it differently now?
Holy crap. Yeah. My daughter is, of course, the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Anyways, but when she was born, big old girl. Anyways, like, chunkiest cheeks, biggest baby I think I could ever imagine myself having. And she comes out with a freaking birthmark on the back of her neck. And even the nurses are just like, oh, she has a stork bite. She has a stork bite. And I'm like, hey, yeah, that's so cute. Like, no freaking idea what they're talking about. And I Google it, and I'm like, of course, it's so beautiful. And it's like, a stork bite means that they were kissed from somebody in heaven. And I was just like, holy crap, like, all these things. And she still has it. It's not like she grew out of it. And I was like, and that's what one thing, I was so mad that I was over 41 weeks pregnant. Okay. Who wouldn't be, right? I was huge.
Oh yeah. You're miserable.
I was so uncomfortable. I knew my husband had a huge event for work. So I'm like, I'm going to be robbed this time.
Yeah,
I want this baby out. And everybody just kept telling me, like, oh, it's so beautiful. Your mom is just up there holding her a little longer. And I'm like, Becky, give me the baby. Like, I appreciate your help, but give me the baby. And so then when she came out with the stork bite, I was like, oh, that is just so beautiful. Yeah. And it truly made me feel like she was just up there holding her, loving her, torturing me, because that is one thing I always feared, even before I got pregnant. Like, my mom could never dilate. She had an emergency C-section and then a planned C-section with me. And so I'm like, man, like, I just hope I have the chance to have a natural birth. Like, I don't know if that runs in the family. I don't know how that works. Still don't know how that freaking thing works. But every time I went to the damn doctor and I got checked and he was like, you're not dilated. You're not dilated. You're not dilated. I'm like, you know what, Becky, could you give me something good? Like, give me something good. And she did. She gave me a beautiful, healthy baby who is a wonderful baby with a beautiful stork bite on the back of her neck.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think signs are, for me, have definitely helped me get through.
Yeah.
A lot. So I think my kids probably think I'm fucking crazy.
Oh, they do.
But I'm like, if you pay attention, you'll see them. But if you block them out, you'll never experience it.
And you'll find comfort in them. That's the thing that I love. And, I never know what kind of birds they are because we have kind of like a sunroom, I guess you'd call it. We have a lot of windows in our house. And I'll just be sitting in the living room, chilling, minding my own business, probably listening to Miss Rachel. And you'll hear a thud. And it's freaking birds. When I tell you my windows are not the cleanest because your girl don't have time for all that.
They hit your window?
Slam every single day.
That's how that crazy little red bird is.
But unfortunately.
Oh, they died?
A lot of times they do. It's never been a cardinal that has passed away, but a lot of times we will find them on our deck. Unfortunately gone. But I'm like, are you just trying to get in? Or are you trying to tell me something? Like, what is it? We had to hire a whole ass company to come in and close up all the vents that, I guess I don't want to say close up, but like cover very seriously all of the vents in our house because these birds were like trying to live in our house.
Why do you got so many birds?
When the guy came down with 3 trash bags full of dead birds and nests from my attic.
Oh my God.
He was like, they've been at this for a while. They want to live in my house. And I'm like, I'm telling you what,
no,
that's freaking Becky. That's Becky. She's joking and it'll end, but it hasn't.
That's a lot.
It was 3 trash bags full of dead birds and nests. And I was like, I don't know what kind of birds they were. I hope they weren't cardinals because they're too beautiful to just get in my attic and die. But yeah, it was.
They were probably finches.
I don't know.
We have a lot of finches at home.
Are they mean?
No, they're just not smart little birds.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as they're not mean, you can move in. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, that's one reason why I got my little cardinal tattoo.
But I like it. It's simple.
Yeah, very simple, very fun. Just a little reminder. I guess that's probably another way I could say I cope with my grief is
your tattoos.
Yeah, but they all have meaning. They all mean something. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to get this one for my mom. I'm going to get this one for my dad. And so, I have my dad and my brother's name across my shoulders. And my mom was always like, when are you going to, and so then I got some of my dad's handwriting on my arm. And she was like, well, when are you going to get a tattoo for me? And I was like, well, I mean, I guess it sounds like when you die. Like,
Jesus.
Obviously not thinking anything of it,
yeah.
And she was like, well, damn, okay. And I was like, I mean, I don't, why, unless you want to get a tattoo together, like, I don't see a reason to just get, like, I'm not going to get your name on me, Becky. And
it's not meaningful yet.
Yeah. So I did. I ended up getting one before she passed away. I did her birth flower, in like a big bunch of flowers, mine, my mom's, my brother's, all the things, my dad's. Before she passed away. And so I got to then be very joking with her. I'm like, look, you didn't die and I got a tattoo for you. And so then when she did pass away, I was like, well, I think it's only right to get a tattoo
I have to get another tattoo.
So I did. You would never notice it looking at my mom from the outside, but she had a gang of tattoos underneath.
Really?
She made sure they were all covered. And of course, because of her sentimental little self, they all had meaning. But she was super into moons and flowers and all of the things. And so I got a moon filled with flowers. And it's actually from a cartoon, little skit kind of thing. And it's just a little phrase that says, take her to the moon for me.
Oh, I love it.
And so I got that and love it. Would not change anything about it. And I'm sure I'll get more. Because,
of course,
I mean, yeah, it's why not? I want them to have some kind of meaning. So I'm like, I'm going to, again, find a sign to make meaning out of anything. And and just kind of figure it out. And there's nothing better than some tattoo therapy.
Well, the problem is I need to sit for 10 plus hours every time I go get one.
Yeah, I try to do small increments, but it makes you feel pretty damn good. And I got to find a babysitter. So I can't go for 10 hours.
Yeah, the 2 I've decided to get since KJ's gone, I'm like, oh yeah, we'll just sit for the whole thing.
Yeah.
No problem.
Oh yeah. And then you're
10
halfway
plus hours, and it's 5 a.m. and I'm tired, I'm cranky, and he's like, sit still, and I'm like,
all right, and then your mind, you're like, I'm not a bitch. I'm not gonna quit.
Oh shit! By the time it's over, I'm like, look, I'm tired. I'm whiny. I'm hungry.
Yeah, all day.
I'm done.
All freaking day. Yeah. So, I feel like there's so many things that you do that you don't even realize that help you cope with things.
Yeah.
But I want to, you're making me want to go to a medium.
I got one.
I know.
He's really good.
I'm going to have to get his info.
He's good.
I feel like it would be interesting. It would be cool. It'd be scary, but what do you have to lose?
I did it once, and then when we did our group things, KJ kind of snuck in, and even though I'm like, okay, if he shows up, just send me a living, put him to the Bayside, because I didn't want anybody feeling any type of way.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now that he and I are friends, like I would never ask him for a reading.
Yeah.
I'd probably find somebody else.
Absolutely.
Just because I know how he feels about that. But even sometimes he's been to the house and he'll just randomly say something. Or sometimes I'll get, like, one time he texted me and I was like, what did he text me? He was like, don't forget you're amazing. Who was that?
Holy crap.
And I'm texting Shannon. I'm like, bitch, this is my fucking husband coming through. Like, why would he text me that? Like, so there's still just little things that he pops off, and I'm like, and I don't say shit to him. I just let it go, and I'm like, okay, I got you.
So wild.
I got you.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, he's great. I've watched him we did a group here. We did 2 at another place. So it was really fun to watch him interact with other people.
Yeah. And
see how their people came through and just hear those stories.
Yeah.
When I did it personally, I just sat back and I shut the fuck up and I never said, I'm just like, you just talked to me because I was so damn skeptical.
I was going to say, if you're a skeptic, you're like, I don't want to say a word.
Nothing. I don't say nothing.
I don't want to give anything away about myself.
Yep.
So that's interesting. So I listen to a comedy podcast. So it's a comedian, and she's very much into like psychics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But since she is a public figure, she never gives her real name.
Okay.
But I think she has maybe once or twice or something. And it's always been like, she's like, I paid this person to literally tell me what Google says about me. And so I get it. I'm like, if I'm a skeptic, like, I don't want you to know anything about me.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm like, let me follow you, but I'm not friending you on Facebook. I'm not. None of the things. And then when it came down to it, and some of the things he said, I'm like, nobody could have known that.
Isn't that so weird?
So,
okay, I'm intrigued.
Like you said, what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
And some people are just simply scared of it.
Yeah.
But I think
it's cool. I think it would probably give me a little bit of comfort, and especially with the way everything happened and how brutal everything was with her. And it's like, at the end of the day, I want to know that she's okay, because when she left this earth, she wasn't okay.
That was my big thing. I was weird about it though, because I'm like, are you okay? Well, fuck no, you're not okay. You're fucking dead, right?
Yeah.
Like, but there was just something in me that was like, but I guess, did you make it to the right side? Like, are you stuck somewhere? Like, where the fuck is your soul? Are you good there? Wherever you are, are you okay?
Are you with the people that you lost and that you missed? And what is it, what is it like? What are you experiencing? What are you doing?
Right. I needed to know he was okay, even though physically he was not okay.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. I feel like that's huge. And my mom was very much let's go to a psychic. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I was just like, I don't really think I want to know.
I was never into that.
But now that quite literally my entire family is gone, I feel like, why not?
Yeah, I was never into it. I'm like, look, I don't need nobody to tell me shit.
Yeah.
I don't need to know the future. I don't need to know the past. I don't need to know none of the fucking things. Okay. Yeah.
Now, looking back, me it probably would have been nice to know a couple things. Maybe have a little heads up on life.
No. Nope. I'm out.
Me, I'm
out.
To me, I'm sitting here like, can you prepare me for how strong I need to be going forward?
I don't think there's any preparing for this shit.
There's not.
It was helpful. It was definitely, I think it helped with closure.
Yeah, I can see that. Which is hard to get. Closure is, I don't want to say it's never there, but it never truly feels like it's closed,
No.
There's so many chapters in your life that you close, you close the chapter of a job, you close the chapter of friendships, you close all these things, but losing somebody so close and so near and dear to your heart never truly closes. Mm-mm. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're doing firsts without them, holidays, birthdays, graduations, having a freaking baby, all the things. You're like,
and that's the thing. So
you're so excited, you're in that moment and you're so happy for it, but you're so fucking sad at the same time.
Yep. Because while you got birth and everything that came with that, and then your mom's death, and then we were going through the first Christmas, like immediately. Mm-hmm. And then Michaela graduating from college and moving and all the things. Yeah. Like it was just, you want to
because life doesn't stop as much as you want it to. Life doesn't stop.
No, it's fucking happening.
Yeah.
And so you get through those the best you can. And like, again, signs, when we were at Michaela's graduation, there was a guy behind us. And I didn't say anything. I laughed to myself. And later my mom said something. And so the guy behind us is on the phone. He was like, I don't see you. Raise your hand. Wave your hand around. Well, KJ used to say that shit all the fucking time.
All the time.
And
Jay
I just
says it. He's like, I just secretly,
wave your hand around or whatever. And
I'm right here. You don't see me?
I just smiled. And later my mom said, did you fucking hear that guy? I was like, Yep, he was there. Of course he was there. It was our fucking graduation.
My gosh.
Yeah, so
isn't that amazing?
Just those things that you're like, all right, he's here and we can be happy today and we can get through it. And, it's just part of it. It's just I think it's how you look at life, how you decide you want to go through it and get out of it, I guess.
Yeah. And my biggest thing is I'm going to, and I do, but I don't want to look back and have regrets of not living my life and not being happy and not just moving forward, because you don't move past it, but you do have to move forward.
You learn to live with it.
You do. You learn to live with it. And, I do live with regrets because, as I have said, my mom drove me crazy and I didn't have a lot of patience and I probably should have. And there are things I would do differently.
I think that's inevitable, though.
It is. But the one thing I don't want to regret is just living. And that's one thing that she did. She would, did I think maybe she got a little too wrapped up in it? Yes. But, like on the anniversary of my brother's accident and death and things like that, like she would travel and she would do so many fun things and get together with so many people and she would make it happy versus sad. But, I want to find the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't want to say I want to find the happiness, especially, with my dad and with my brother. It's been so long that I've processed those and I'm living with those now. With my mom, I'm still processing. I'm still very much grieving. I'm always going to grieve all of their deaths.
Oh yeah.
But with my mom, like I would say I'm still in the beginning stages of grieving because for so long, I was in that fight or flight mode where I was handling so much. Which is just such a battle. And so it's like, I just want to live for her.
I think we find a new happy.
You
find a new kind of life and you find a new happy, and because nothing's ever going to be the same again.
Oh gosh.
But no. you just find a new, I guess a new normal.
Yeah. A new normal is the best way to explain it, because it's like, something funny happens and I want to call my mom, or something sad happens and I want to call my mom, or nothing happens and I want to call my mom.
Yep.
And you're like, well, shit. You know, when we went to Disney just over Thanksgiving, and anybody that knew my mom knew she loved her trinkets. She loved her wind chimes. She loved her crap is just really the best way to explain it. If it was dinky and cute and something you didn't need, it was in her cart. Okay. So we go by, of course, we're so excited. My first time ever at Disney, obviously our daughter's first time ever at Disney. And we're so excited. And that was our first mistake. If we're excited about it, my kid's going to sleep through it. She's going to sleep. She's not going to enjoy it. And that's exactly what Disney was. So we are in Epcot and we are grabbing some beers, drinking, hanging out, going to all the different, little things they have set up there. And I had that moment. And I really think it was, which is crazy because it's been over a year. I think it was my first moment where I forgot she was gone. And it was a little stand in, one of the countries. And it had those stupid little colorful, I don't even want to call them wind chimes because I don't know what the heck they are, but they twirl and twist and they're, I know what you're talking about, but they sit outside on your porch. I know I for sure cleaned 15 of them off of her porch when I sold the house. Okay. And I even said it to myself, like, oh my gosh, my mom would love that. And then I looked at my husband and I was like,
and then it hits you all over again.
I had that moment. Yep. And he was like, what moment? No idea what was about to hit him. Yeah. I was like, I had the moment where I forgot she was gone because she would love that. And he was like, she would have sold the stand out. There's no doubt about it. She would have sold the stand out. And so then, we're so happy. And we took a picture of my kids sleeping in every single country that we went to. And we're laughing. We're having such a great day. We're drinking all this delicious and awful beer and food and all the things. And then I'm damn near about to cry. And you're like, oh shit. Epcot, like it. And that's crazy. That's grief.
That's your new normal.
That's grief.
Yep, absolutely. Yes. And it doesn't discriminate by any way. There's so many, and even just the smallest things. You're like, oh yeah, why the hell am I crying? You're like, oh well, yeah, something happened there. Then with that, whatever the fuck it was. Oh yeah,
absolutely. It's funny. Life is interesting to say the least.
Crazy.
And all I'm going to say is one more time, God, I've been strong. I don't want to be strong anymore. Skip over me for the next one.
Please leave me alone.
Let my grandma live until she's 120. Let my husband live until he's 120. Like, just skip on over me. Yeah. Because your girl has been through it.
Done.
Yeah. We'll figure it out as we always do because we're going to move forward.
Absolutely.
We're always doing all right. No matter how all right we're not. We're going to be fine.
But we're going to be fine.
We're going to be fine. Again, it's literally life.
Yep.
You don't realize how many people go through shit until you're going through it and they're like, oh yeah, XYZ. Yep. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
because other people are like us and they don't say shit.
Mm-hmm.
They just go through it.
Yeah.
And try not to make it everybody else's shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But then it makes you sad for them because you're like, man, I know exactly how you're feeling.
Yeah, but most of those people are like us too. They don't want to share their shit.
They're like, I don't want it. I don't want it.
I'm good.
I know.
I'll just handle it by myself and I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, ma'am. We're going to finish up. You got any other final?
I don't think so.
I appreciate you sharing.
Of course. Here anytime.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem at all.
It helps everybody know that they're not crazy to hear everybody else's stories.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely no normal book. But when needed, I will be an open book.
Well, thank you.